October 18th at 6 p.m. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertani is, I believe, online.
Here.
Councilmember Moy.
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro.
Here.
Councilmember Tim.
Here.
Councilmember Tonneson.
Here.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro.
Here.
And Mayor Price. Thank you.
Let's pray together. Lord, I thank you for the opportunity that we have tonight to address issues and to hear from folks who have some things that are weighing on them. I pray that you would help us to speak clearly and to say what we need to say in order to get our point across. And Lord, I pray that the council would have wisdom to make decisions. Lord, we come to you seeking wisdom tonight, and I pray that you would help us and help the council members as they deal with different items. We need their help, they need your help, and we ask for it tonight in Jesus' name. Amen.
Well, thank you, Pastor. And Councilwoman Moy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we turn now to council reports. So Councilwoman Doris Panduro, would you like to begin, please?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. It's good to see everybody here this evening. I just wanted to report on a few things. I was invited last week to attend, it's called the Student Council Association, and it's actually a group of students from all over the region that come together and they talk about policy issues that they could bring to the Capitol, to Sacramento, to create into law. And so I attended along with Supervisor John Vasquez, and we were on the panel for these students who did these presentations. And they presented both on the importance of mental health and how they could impact mental health on their campuses. And one of their ideas was bringing in mentors for students to talk to. The other one was with regards to substance abuse. And so they shared ideas and their own stories around being approached on campuses to use substance abuse or to use substances. And so it was really interesting to hear their perspective and to hear their ideas. So it was really great to be able to participate in this event and hear from our young people, because their voices are very important, and I want to hear them, and I enjoy that I'm able to attend these events. So I think along with that, I just wanted to also say thank you to the fire station, the fire department for having the open house. I attended with my 2-year-old nephew, and he had a blast. First, he was a little scared with Sparky and the water hose, but once he got into the obstacle course, he had a lot of fun. And I told my sister, I think he's a future firefighter. So we'll see how that rolls out. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And Councilwoman, well, let's see, we only have one more left. Councilwoman Pam Bertani, please.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everyone. Thumbs up if you can hear me. All right, cool. Okay, I just have three things. This Saturday evening, October 22nd at around dusk, the Clergy Action Network, the Fairfield CAN, is going to be hosting the movie night in the park. We're hosting that in conjunction with the Solano County Black Chamber of Commerce. All we ask is that you come down to the county lawn, and at dusk around 6:30, we'll go from 6:30 to 9:30, and bring your family, bring your friends. We'll have movies, we'll have food, and it'll be great entertainment. So we look forward to seeing you there. Then on Tuesday, October 25th, the Fairfield Clergy Action Network is going to be hosting a panel with Travis Air Force Base members who will be sitting in those seats on the dais. That's going to be on the 25th from 3 to 4:30 in council chambers. Please feel free to join us so that we can begin building bridges and relationships with our Air Force Base men and women. And I think it'll be a really good time. And finally, the Clergy Action Network is planning our Thanksgiving meal. That's going to take place on Tuesday, November 22nd. That's Thanksgiving week in Willow Hall. And dinner will be served from 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. And we're calling for all turkeys. And I mean that literally. We really need turkeys that are fully cooked and ready to be served on the 22nd of November. You can literally just come down to Willow Hall and drop off a fully prepared turkey. We think we've got the fixings and everything else under control, but we do need turkeys. So that is my report, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Vice Mayor, would you like to give your report, please?
Sure. Actually, I'll let Councilman Moy go first.
Councilman Moy, go ahead, please.
Thank you, gentlemen. I wanted to first thank a group of our police who have gone out to Oak Brook School, Oak Brook Drive, where they have a lot of parking issues and are getting very agitated about people parking in no park zones in people's driveways and so on. So I appreciate you going out and reminding people with tickets. I would like to ask that my colleagues who are on the schools group with you, Mr. Mayor, bring this up and see if there's some way the groups can work together on some kind of a permanent situation for Oak Brook, so we're not having people, wanting to fight. Thank you. We've all done a lot, I know, and the holidays are coming, so I had a really special visit a few days ago, and I often talk about how I work with different folks on the streets. Usually twice a week I go out and meet with homeless people and see what's up, and I interview them, they interview me. And the other night I had the honor of going to Caleb's Place, which is a new sober living house here in Fairfield. And the 5 gentlemen who live there were formerly homeless in Fairfield. And so we talked a whole lot. A couple of them have never voted in their lives. And so I told them I would help them and get them signed up. So I brought them over the sheets I got from the county, and they did all of that. And I don't remember what it was like when I first voted when I was 18, but these guys said it was a freeing feeling to start feeling like you're doing things that other people could do, and that maybe they thought they would never probably live, is what it came down to. They were drug addicts, and one gentleman told me he cried every night living on the streets of Fairfield. And that kind of tears you up and brings me to this. I asked them all, why are they sober? And how did they get off the streets? They were all arrested at different times. Arrested and put in jail, where they had county folks come in and talk to them, and they had a choice, die on the streets or comply. And so they got help. And I think that's really interesting. It's something that because we all care so much about homelessness, of course, that we need to look at those root causes, and that is, I know forever in a day that it's been because of niceties that people didn't want to say that homeless people that we see on the streets, are chronically homeless, have maybe issues with mental health and or drugs, and sometimes both. It's called dual diagnosis. But I just wanted to say there is recovery, and that our homeless intervention team does do a great job. All of these people knew our homeless intervention team. They knew who they were. They had talked to them several times. And some of those things, those contacts also helped them. So I just wanted to ask that the Vice Mayor and Ms. Panduro, think about that when they're going to the 2x2 committees that are so exciting, that they think about those very root causes and look to that, because the federal government today just announced that they're going to give money to help build mental hospitals or living areas, and we should look into getting some of that money. Yeah. And then the last thing is, I know that we all got a letter from Alicia Minion, and she was just talking about Shelter Solano, and she happens to be a CPA who worked for the federal government investigating. And it's her, you all have read it, and it's a public record now, so if anybody wants it, we should go ahead and hand that out, Mr. City Manager. So that's all I had. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Tim, please.
Yeah, thank you. And in the homeless vein, although a different tact, yesterday I was at Ledgewood Creek with CHP and Caltrans, our HIT team, Police Department, Public Works, and they pulled out tons and tons of trash and cleaned it up again. And I had a question. Well, I have a question. You don't have to answer it now, but I just want to know if anybody accepted services from our homeless division yesterday when we cleaned out the camp. You can let me know offline. And then number two, the Fairfield Community Services Foundation on the 8th of October served dinner downtown Texas Street. And I went, and I'll be frank, I didn't expect that it was going to amount to much. It was one of the most beautiful nights. It was picture perfect. I can hardly wait till the next one, but the community that was there and all the volunteers, and I kind of made a joke, the people that were serving dinner to us, I still call sir and ma'am. These are community leaders that just showed up volunteering, but the Community Services Foundation is for real and vine to table, and I look forward to the next year, so kudos to them. Mayor, thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, a couple of things real quick. I know the week of November 14th, I believe, 15th is our council meeting. Last year, we all did videos how we united stand against hate. And once again, this year, I believe we're going to be reading a proclamation that the city of Fairfield and the city council stand united against hate. This is really important because these are different communities within the Bay Area, and Fairfield has joined them in standing together, and being that we are as diverse a community as we are, it's so important that we are part of this. So I'm looking forward to that. The other thing is also, Councilman White, yeah, we do discuss that in the 2x2, what you're talking about, and actually at length many times. I know Councilman Pandora and I have talked about it. And I'll end on a positive note. One of my former students, actually, she was one of the valedictorians, I believe, in 2005, Camilla Hawthorne, who's she's a professor at UC Santa Cruz, actually a tenured professor at the age of 34, I believe. Incredible. We're trying to arrange, I know Bill Way and myself are trying to arrange where she does a book reading and signing at the public library here. We've been in communication, and she's just a wonderful person, a great young author and a great professor. So just stay tuned. When I get a definite date, I'll put out some notice about that. And Mr. Mayor, that's my report for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Tonneson, please. Your report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief. Pickleball is really exploding. I know that me and George Kennedy talk about it a lot, but we've got noticed on a pickleball site called The Kitchen, and there's 66,000 members on that. And they're talking about Fairfield, so we're really working towards getting these tournaments and stuff here and getting good use out of those courts. On Sunday, the pickleball group has they call it a birthday month, but every month on a Sunday they have a barbecue, and there was 8 courts going, 9 courts at one time, and probably 50, 60 people out there. So if you haven't played pickleball, come on out and try it. And my last thing, Mr. Mayor, Doris and I did a Councilmember Panduro and I did a walkthrough today of the Shelter Solano kitchen, and it is coming along very nice. Brandon, you guys are doing, I know you got a lot of obstacles you're up against, but you guys are doing great work, and thank you for that tour. But it's looking great, and it's going to be a real positive asset to our city. Thank you, sir. That's all for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And I should like to follow up with Councilman Tim and the Community Services Foundation. What happened that evening was just an absolutely miraculous experience for those of us who were so fortunate to be there. The food was wonderful. It came from all the restaurants. There was a beautiful moon. It was one of those most romantic evenings, and you say to yourself, we should do this, Mr. City Manager, more often. We should find some good reason to turn that downtown into a night spot, and because people had such a really good time. And the Community Services Foundation, as Councilman Tim already pointed out, used that as a fundraiser. And it was amazing to watch people bidding on local agricultural products, particularly the ones that you can drink. And it was just a super, super experience. And then I should also like to just repeat, perhaps, that the APAPA, the Asian Pacific Islander Association, did a remarkable gathering over at the CC Inn Ranch. And the governor was there, and there were more electeds. There were probably close to 5,000 people there. And the line of vehicles getting in was just so very, very long that it was a wonderful experience. So I would urge you, take a good look at what's happening in our community, one of the most diverse in this whole country. And it makes you feel pretty good, colleagues, to serve on a city council in a city like this. So thank you very much. Mr. City Manager, your report, sir.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just have two items. One quick one. I don't know if this has been yet publicly announced. I know most of the council members, I've been keeping you briefed. The city has acquired the Bank of America site in downtown Fairfield, and with the recent ribbon cutting and relocation of investigations from the 1100 Texas Street building out to our Cordelia Library building, that has freed up the opportunity now for the first substantial redevelopment project in downtown Fairfield. So we are working on all of the analysis and environmental assessments that are required. And hopefully by the springtime, we will be rolling out the excavator and demolishing that entire block and making way for mixed-use housing, which is exactly what the Heart of Fairfield specific plan and the vision of this city council looks at or looks to build in downtown Fairfield. So it's very exciting. We're actively working on that. The state of California previously awarded us planning grants that are intended to set the stage for housing development. They've allowed us on very quick order, kudos to state HCD, they allowed us to reprogram funds, so all of the analysis and things that we will be doing is going to be paid for by HCD to clear the way for housing development. So exciting things, building off of that event for the Services Foundation. Big things continue to happen in downtown Fairfield. The other item is really, Mr. Mayor, just related to the agenda. If council would accept, I would request that we move item 14 from new business, Solano Connected Broadband and Digital Equity Report. Move that up to be a presentation, so take that here right at the end of our conversations and after the proclamation declaring Domestic Violence Awareness Month. There's really no direction that they're seeking. The county is here to give that presentation, and so just in an effort to honor their time as well, if you would take that at that point in time, that would be much appreciated.
Thank you. And are there any changes to the agenda other than item 14?
That's the only request, and so I don't know if we need that formally, Mr. City Attorney, but I'll leave that to him.
Mr. City Attorney, your report, sir.
We can just move the item. We don't need a formal action by the council. And I do want to, just for purposes of doing the full disclosure of the property purchase under the government code, I believe the purchase price was $1,880,000?
No, 1,200,000.
Oh, say it again. Sorry.
1,200,000.
$1,200,000, and the documents that are public record are available upon request to the city for anybody who wants that information. Otherwise, I have nothing to report.
Okay. Madam Clerk, your report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wanted to thank James Smart and family. They adopted a section of Travis Boulevard Erica Milton and family, and Erica works in finance. So we have several employees that have adopted streets. She and her family adopted Wood Creek Drive. Kim Pantoja and Cub Scout Pack 8853, they adopted Meadow Glen Neighborhood Park. And Rosa Maya, who is Iris Maya's mother, she renewed her contract for Dover Park. So thank you to all of those people who help keep Fairfield beautiful.
So you
And
want to
now-
move item number 14?
We're
Yeah,
gonna do
my
the-
recommendation would be to move it to right after the proclamation for
Okay.
Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
Okay, thank you.
So that,
Proclamation declaring
Of domestic violence is wide-ranging, directly affecting women, men, and children, and society as a whole. And whereas according to the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence, nearly 20 people per minute, 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner in the United States of America. Each year, thousands of women and men are victims of intimate partner violence in Solano County. And whereas the city of Fairfield alone, there's been approximately 886 domestic violence related incidents. I'm sorry. If I were in court, I would be in big trouble right now. Whereas in the city of Fairfield alone, there's been approximately 886 domestic violence related incidents reported between October 2021 and October 2022. That is an average of approximately 73 incidents per month. Now, therefore, Mayor Harry T. Price, Mayor of the City of Fairfield, does hereby proclaim that October 22nd is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in Fairfield. And the mayor encourages all citizens to educate themselves and to help create a culture where aggression and control of intimate partners is no longer such a common behavior in society. This is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, October 2022.
thank
evening,
you,
everyone.
Councilwoman Bertani.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, please.
My name is Lilia Bro, and I'm the Domestic Violence Program Manager with the Fairfield Police Department. First, I'd like to thank the City of Fairfield for proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Acknowledging and bringing awareness to domestic violence is a key part of destroying such a vicious cycle. Now I'd like to introduce my unit. If I could have the detectives come join me.
Boy, this is really important.
This is Detective Chapman, Detective Miller, Detective Nipper. We are formally known as the Family Violence Unit. We just recently changed our name to the Special Victims Unit. And again, I just want to thank the City of Fairfield for proclaiming October as Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Thank you, everybody who was a part of it.
Bill, have them moved a little bit over. Have them move a little bit that way. Oh, forget it. I know I'll have to crop it tomorrow. Oops.
Go to 14 now.
Yeah, item 14 now, but first, before we do, I want to make one correction. As soon as I said 1.2 million on Bank of America, I was sitting here thinking, no, that doesn't sound right, and I switched them, yeah, so it was 2.1 million, so my apologies on that, and just wanted to make sure and correct that for the record.
And Mr. Mayor, I also apologize. Can I report out one more item? And I do apologize because I thought there was an item that still needed verification from the claimant, but I've been informed by the HR director that's not the case. The council met in closed session today on item 1, conference with legal counsel regarding a workers' compensation claim by Brian Pereira, claim number FFL 2200009, and approved a settlement for a compromise and release in the amount of $80,000.
Thank you, Mr. City Attorney. Number 14, please, Madam Clerk.
Okay. New business, or we're moving this off of new business, sorry. Solano Connected Broadband and Digital Equity Report, and our presenter is Director of Information Technology, Savita Chaudhary.
Good evening, Mayor and Council members. Before I introduce our team who's going to present from Solano County, I would like to make an announcement. This Saturday, Public Works, Parks and Rec, City Manager's Office, and IT have collaborated to have an event named as Get Connected Day. It will be at the Adult Recreation Center from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., and we will have our vendor partners from T-Mobile and Comcast who will be giving away low-cost internet options and providing low-cost phones and various plans to the community members. There are Spanish and English flyers outside for our community, as well as we have done some news release, and there are posters available about the event. I would like to introduce our Solano County CIO, Tim Flanagan, as well as Stu Bruce, who's the Regional IT Services Manager. We have been great partners with Solano County, and they're going to talk about their digital equity and broadband plan. I would pull up your presentation. Give me a minute.
Well, good evening, Mayor Harry Price and members of the City Council. I'm Tim Flanagan, Chief Information Officer and Registrar of Voters for Solano County. I want to thank you for moving us to the top of your agenda today. We're here to brief you on some recent developments that happened at the Board of Supervisors in regards to broadband funding, especially in the use of ARPA dollars. We've got a brief presentation here that Stu is going to run us through. We've got two efforts that are happening. One is in infrastructure development, which is happening primarily in unincorporated Solano. The half of the project that we're here to brief you on today is around digital equity and the space of broadband adoption that will largely reside in the cities of Solano County. So we are grateful for our time here with you today and looking forward to opportunities to partner with your city, with your community-based organizations to make really wise investments. One of my perspectives on broadband is we really should be looking towards this service more akin to a utility like water and power, and really recognize the benefits that it offers our community, and is a great opportunity for us to collaborate and lift up residents of our community that need the help and can join the digital era. So I want to hand this over to Stuart Bruce, who has the content here, will be leading this project. Stuart Bruce, our Regional Services Manager. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good evening. Pleasure to be here tonight, actually in person via Zoom. It's always fun to actually meet people that I've only met on Zoom before in the flesh. So, Solano County had contracted with a very reputable consulting firm, Boston Consulting Group, to conduct the study. One of the reasons that we went with them is they were able to deliver a comprehensive study in a short period of time, which I know that your council and mayor are allocating ARPA funds, and there are certainly a lot of hands out there. So it was important for us to do a sort of expedited study so that we could put the recommendations in front of the Board of Supervisors in time to allocate some of the ARPA money to this important issue. As part of our study, we engaged over 30-plus community stakeholders. We talked to various county agencies. We met with every city in Solano County. We met with not necessarily every single ISP or internet service provider, but pretty much every major ISP that does business in Solano County. We also talked to a lot of anchor institutions, school districts, community colleges, nonprofits, and a lot of other organizations as well. So we do feel that we got a pretty representative look at the various stakeholders that are working in Solano County to promote these efforts. Now, I also do mapping for Solano County, so of course got to throw a map in there. And this particular map indicates, if you look at the green colors, these are areas of Solano County where there is adequate high-speed broadband internet available if you can afford the connection. So the cities, for the most part, do not have high-speed broadband access issues. Primarily the rural unincorporated areas of Solano County do have issues with high-speed internet. The board has actually allocated $2.2 million for us to work with internet service providers to increase high-speed broadband in the rural unincorporated areas of Solano County. The other part of our project is really dealing with what's called digital literacy, and there's really three particular issues here that we're trying to address. The first is subscription affordability. Can you afford an internet connection? I don't know about the council members, but I'm currently paying Comcast a fairly significant amount of money for high-speed internet on a monthly basis. Some people can't afford that. The federal government has provided funding through the Affordable Connectivity Program, and our analysis indicated that approximately 60,000 households in Solano County are eligible for that program. Another way of looking at that is that anyone who's currently receiving services from the County Health and Social Services is eligible for the Affordable Connectivity Program. That's approximately 1/3 of the residents of Solano County. Now, if you think about that, 60,000 households are eligible for up to a $30 a month benefit. That equates to approximately $1.8 million in assistance for internet connection that Solano County is not taking advantage of. So this is going to be one of our primary focuses, and we're very excited to partner with the city of Fairfield on their Get Connected Day as well. Now, for citizens that might be listening to this presentation, I will say that, and I actually had, I believe it was the mayor of Rio Vista that asked me this question at a previous meeting. I already have high-speed internet. Well, if you're one of those 60,000 households that's eligible for the Affordable Connectivity Program, you don't have to change what you have now. You can just apply and you get a $30 credit. So it's not just people that don't have internet at all, but there's a lot of our citizens that have internet now that can get that benefit. So that's an extra $30 a month, helps go towards important things like gasoline and food with prices going up. The second area of digital literacy has to do with device availability. So if you have access to high-speed internet, if you don't have a computer or a tablet to access the services that are available on the internet, that's a problem. So we are looking at that. One of the things that I'm working with our CIO on, as an example, Solano County basically sells computers that we don't need anymore. So we're really trying to see if there's a way that we can channel those to organizations that can refurbish those and actually give them out to citizens. So we're not going to become a free computer provider for the county, but we're just trying to make sure that the hardware that we're surplusing can be used practically. The third area is digital literacy. So if you have the fastest computer and you have high-speed internet, if you don't really know how to use a computer, you don't know how to surf the internet, you don't know basic internet security issues you should be worried about so your computer doesn't get hacked and you lose all your information, that's an area that we're also looking into. And my next slide. So as part of our broadband access project recommendations, we really have 4 areas that we're going to be spending ARPA money on. The first is we're looking at bringing on a digital equity program team and develop a digital navigator system. We are actually allocating approximately $900,000 of ARPA funds to bring a team in to work for 2 years in Solano County, which ends up, in all honesty, primarily being within the cities. This is where we have the greatest need, not necessarily in the unincorporated areas of Solano County. The second is we're going to support the currently successful county hotspot lending program. If you're not aware, you can go to any library in Solano County and you can check out, like a library book, you can check out a T-Mobile or Verizon mobile Wi-Fi hotspot. They also have backpacks where you get the mobile Wi-Fi hotspot and a computer, if you don't have the hardware, and you can check those out. The only problem with the program, there's a waiting list. So we're going to allocate $500,000 of ARPA funds to the county library system so that they can purchase more of these devices and reduce that waiting list. The third area is that we're looking to support a digital resource awareness campaign. So what we've done here, we're going to develop a much nicer website than the current website that's available. If you were to Google Solano County IT, you'll see a link to our broadband site. We're going to try to improve that. Of course, people that aren't on the internet aren't going to be able to use a website, so we're going to be developing some marketing brochures, and we're going to use channels such as Health and Social Services and other programs that interact with these stakeholders to try to provide them education. It will be in multiple languages. We're looking at English, Spanish, and I'm probably going to say this wrong, Tagalog? Tagalog. I should know that. But basically, we've allocated about $150,000 for marketing support. And then the final thing that we're doing, and I think this is going to be very innovative for our community, is we are setting aside $250,000 to support a small grants program for local nonprofits who are currently engaged with the community that we're trying to reach. The first year, I'm looking at funding 10 separate nonprofits with about $10,000 each. And then based on how well they do, 3 or 4 of them in the second year will get maybe $40,000 or something like that to support their program. The whole idea of using the ARPA money now to engage our community is really to make us more eligible for additional federal and state funding streams that are coming down the pipe. So we're looking at, for example, by the end of next year and the year after, there's literally millions of dollars of funding all aimed at reducing and improving, I guess, the digital equity issues. So by investing ARPA funds now, what we're doing is we're setting our nonprofits up and we're engaging the community so that when we go apply for those funds later, we're ready to go. We already have a program. It's not like we're going to wait another year and a half and then ask for $5 million to do something that we're not already engaged upon. So the last slide here, keeping it short at 5 slides, there are plenty of opportunities for the cities and the counties to work together. Certainly, as we brought up already this evening, we are working with the city of Fairfield on promoting their events. We definitely want to share our marketing efforts to reach more citizens. So if we print brochures up, we'll make some of those available to the cities as well. When your stakeholders come in, they'll have access to it. We're definitely looking at city representation on our Solano Connected Digital Equity Coalition. So we are going to form a coalition of nonprofits and governments to really address this issue so that we have a team effort. This is also another nice thing when it comes to applying for grants. We have the Digital Equity Coalition. It'd be pretty easy to get letters of support and things like that to show that we're already connected and we're working together. And obviously partner on upcoming grant opportunities as they become available. And also, and there's no specific ask this evening, but it's possible that the city might have some matches to some of the county investment. And as we ramp up and get going here, once the team's on board, there might be some opportunities for the city and the county to work together. So, but that is my presentation, and I'm happy to take any questions that you might have.
Any comments or questions, colleagues? Mr. Vice Mayor.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I'm glad that the county is really looking into the inequity that's been going on for a long time. For someone who worked with, underserved youth for a long time, I can tell you that the Internet Essentials program, I know that was supposed to serve everybody that didn't have a computer. It really didn't. I mean, it's a great program, and it's great to, that's what they wanted to do. But I think there were definitely some holes, because having worked with a lot of kids who did not have that service at home, and did not have a computer at home, I think it's really important that the county really digs into that And I'm glad that the city is going to be partnering with that, because there's still, everybody says, oh, everybody has, access to the internet. That's true, but not everybody has the same access to the internet, or the same type of devices to use. And, these days in education, everything's online. Even if you're in the classroom, everything's online. So these students really need that. And I'm not saying that Comcast Internet Essentials is not a bad, it's a really good program. Unfortunately, it doesn't touch every single person out there that really needs it. And I know they really want to, but there has to be more to it than that. So, but anyway, very good presentation. I'm glad the county's involved.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Panduro, please.
Thank you for the presentation. I agree with regards to the, it's astounding that we have 70,000 people that could qualify, but only 10.5 are aware of the ACP program. And so I think that's going to be a big part of the outreach with regards to the understanding that, yeah, you can have internet, but you can still also receive this benefit. And I think that's maybe like the miscommunication, because even when I received information, I was like, I had to read into it to fully understand what it meant to apply for it and all the steps that it took to apply for it. And then I was like, oh, I think I know some people that qualified, so I forwarded it to them, and I hope that they applied. But I think that's going to be a big push to kind of figure out how to better have people understand the benefit of this program. But I'm excited for this going forward. It's going to be really positive for our community. So thank you.
Well, this is part of the approach with the digital navigator team. If you're familiar with patient navigators, for example, in the medical system, if you come down with cancer, you have a patient navigator to help you figure out, what's the best way to get treatment. So with the digital navigators, we are looking at hiring a number of local students, probably, to act as part-time digital navigators. So we have resources that people can call up and go, hey, I'm on this site, I don't understand it, how do I connect? And we'll kind of help you with it, so.
Well, again, thank you very much. An excellent presentation.
All right, thank you. Have a nice evening. And thanks very much for letting us go early, so.
I did notice there was one hand raised online, and I just want to make sure it's not just for public comment that's coming up.
Sorry, that's for public comment.
Oh, okay. Thanks,
General public
Brian.
comment, yeah.
Okay. We turn now to public comments. Please, Madam Clerk, if you would.
Persons wishing to address the City Council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. To speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone. This is for the people online. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. Thank you. And our first speaker is Jeff Traeger, to be followed by Brian Lynch.
More good news tonight, Jeffrey.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, make this short. Coming up this weekend, we have the Rocky Horror Show, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And then on the 5th of November, we have the legendary Pete Escovedo in one of his last performances. Pete's about 86 now, and he's winding it down, but he wanted to make one more trip and perform at the Downtown Theater, which he really loves. So that's on the 5th, and he's bringing in his Latin Jazz Orchestra. So if you get a chance, I've left some flyers out there, so you can pick them up if you like as you leave. And then on the 12th of November, we have the Missouri Street Theater's adaptation of Elf 2. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeffrey.
Our next speaker is Brian Lynch, to be followed by Denise Martinez.
Good evening,
Mr.
Brian.
Mayor, good evening, Council. A while back, I stood before you and stated the area where I lived in is out of control. In such case, I could have succumbed to the many outside pressures and become depressed, turned to drugs or alcohol and dealt with mental and physical health problems, or taken advantage of the situation and turned to crime and violence, but I didn't. I got to work with these speeches. And now I've come up with a hypothesis. I call it the slide into dysfunction. From the beginning, we all want to be cared about. As we get older, we want to be valued for who we are and what we do. Then vacant lots and areas we don't care for come along, tell us no one cares, no one's in control. Allow me to add tonight, there are no laws and there are no rules. Then those that struggle emotionally and have difficulty meeting their needs because they've been abandoned and neglected, have low coping skills, may fall into depression, can turn to drugs or alcohol, crime, violence, and have higher levels of physical and emotional health problems. Then if they continue to fall, they lose their jobs and maybe their family. Now they need resources and may continue to fall beyond that and become homeless and need more city services. Now they're in a horrible situation. If they continue to fall, they turn to a place where we don't care and there are no rules, vacant lots. Full circle. I think it draws them in. I'll probably never prove this, and it may need some alterations, but several acquaintances say it's sound. Tonight, I'm not asking you to pull every weed or to pick every piece of paper. That'd be overwhelming. I'm asking you to build resilience. Start with the 7 topics I've given you. Parks, artwork, lots in control, parklets, make parklets out of them, respected by staff, positive messages in our communities, good communication. When we see this happening, someone's in control. There are rules, laws. We understand it's okay, it will be better, safer. In your 2 classrooms, you probably had a system where students neatly stacked their homework upon arrival to class. You didn't say, throw it back there, I'll get to it later. You were organized, and that's an element of control. There were rules. You understand that. Mr. Tim probably understands it. The rest of you, I'm not sure about. Our city has areas with elements of uncontrol, no laws, no rules, and no one cares. You want to send homeless individuals packing for not following the rules. What are your rules? It's confusing. Establish rules and control, then I'll get behind you. Alaska is calling. Buy those a ticket if not going to follow the rules. Until then, there's more that can be done. Last time I was up here, I made a statement for change. Once again, I'm going to state, I'm expecting change, I'm expecting better, and I'm expecting it from each one of you. Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment?
Go ahead, Councilman Panadero.
I just want to say, Brian, I know you've come a couple of times, and so I just wanted to thank you for coming and sharing your concerns. I know that you live in my district, and so I appreciate that you bring to light these issues that I think we're all very much aware of, and we're all working really hard to address. But thank you again for always coming and sharing, what you see on your everyday, because we obviously we do not take that for granted, and we do want to hear what the community has to say about, their experience living here as a resident. So, there is change, it's happening, and I know we've spoken before. I know you've spoken with the city manager before as well. So just know that we are listening. Thank you.
Thank you. That was my last one.
Okay. Our next speaker is Denise Martinez, to be followed by George Kennedy.
Hi everyone, my name is Denise Martinez. I'm here on behalf of Solano Community College, and I'm here to promote our Day of the Dead events that are happening at Solano. So we're going to invite the council as well as the wider Fairfield community, hoping that you can join us at one or all of our events. So we have 3 different events each Friday for the following 3 weeks. So October 21st, October 28th, and November 4th. Our first event is going to be a movie night. We'll be watching Coco and then having some snacks, and hopefully this is a family-friendly event. So we hope to see not just Solano community students, but the wider Solano community as well. On the 28th, we're going to have an ofrenda viewing. So it's a community ofrenda, so we want everyone to participate in actually making the ofrenda. So we'd love to see the council as well as, again, the wider Solano community. Our last event is a storytelling event. We're looking at multicultural folklore, because storytelling is a practice that, crosses all cultural barriers and, surpasses this idea of being in the present, but also making sure that there is a legacy to be told for future generations. So we want to celebrate that and celebrate that the community has come together to create this ofrenda, which will be up in the Herger Gallery until November 6th. All of our events are from 5 to 8 p.m. and they will be hosted by the art department here in the Fairfield Community College campus. So if anyone has any questions, I'll be around for a little bit, but I've also left some flyers for everyone on the back table, and I can email it if anyone needs it as well.
And
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention that Denise told me she used to be a youth commissioner, and that her last year was 2012.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Next is George Kennedy. And then Brandon, did you want to speak on public comment? Okay, thank you.
Hello, Mr. Mayor and council members. I'm here tonight to talk about our city's most pressing problem, homelessness, and the lack of follow-through by this council and implementation by the administration on it. We know that this is our city's biggest priority citywide and has been for quite some time. People do not feel safe going places, and yet you have approved a budget that included adding new staff to homeless services. We went over this with our Budget Advisory Committee. Yet, for over a year, those positions are still unfulfilled. And this morning, on the city's website, you can click on jobs. Not one position is listed for employment in homeless services, yet there's 5 open positions. To borrow a term that Ms. Bertani used last year on the topic, what is your why? You talk like you care, but your follow-up says otherwise. We know that social workers are more effective than police officers. We know that it takes 70 interactions from a police officer and 11 from a social worker to get the same results. We know that social workers get paid less and have the educational background to get the success needed. We know that those police officers assigned should be out there doing what they do best, policing. Yet the department continues to be 72% understaffed despite the needs and wants of this community. How many people have not gotten help in this time? How many police, fire, and paramedic calls could have been avoided? We are now heading into our second winter without any action. How many children, how many families, and how many lives are at risk because of this inaction? On September 7th, 2021, at the council meeting, you gave specific instructions to the administration on what steps you wanted taken. You did not want it part of housing, rightfully so. Councilman Vaccaro said it will impede progress. Councilwoman Bertani said reporting to the city manager will diminish homelessness. Go back and watch that presentation again. By mutual agreement, there was a change at the top, yet nothing has changed. It's looking like someone is trying to decimate homeless services and force it into housing, despite the fact that the homeless services manager, as I've said several times before, is the most respected and knowledgeable individual in this county, if not Northern California, on this subject. And I've been told this by people from other cities as well as the county. What is the issue? Where is the follow-up on this? Or as Councilwoman Bertani says, what is your why? You wonder why people want change. You wonder why they're disillusioned. It's inactions like this that create disenchantment in the duties that you are sworn to uphold. Where is the leadership? It's like the Wizard of Oz. Who's behind the curtain? We deserve to know why homelessness and our safety is not your priority. Thank you.
George, thank you.
Our next speaker is Brandon Worth, to be followed by Nora Dizon.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I'm extremely disappointed that I need to come up here to address a closing statement that Catherine said from during her reporting time. At a last council meeting, our CEO, John Ekstrom, asked that Ms. Moy would stop making innuendos about Shelter Solano. Now, my understanding is what she said is that an email has gone to all of you, and I don't know the context, or I know the context of the email. I don't know the verbiage, the words that were used, or who this person is that sent out this email. The disappointing part is that you can just pick up the phone call and call either John or myself. We're open, we're transparent. We provide all the documentation that any city in the 3 counties that we work in, the information that is being requested. So the innuendo is that we are nefarious, is that the right word? That we're doing something wrong? That there's something not legitimate about Shelter Inc.? Somehow it seems like we're being targeted by a council member of one city out of all the cities that we work in. That's not the purpose of this stand up here. My heart hurts for any nonprofit that would be working in the city and for some reason starts to become targeted by the city. And in this case, it's a certain council member. It's truly disappointing. Certainly, I think that have to give a defense. Shelter Inc. is a legal entity, corporation, with the state of California and with federal government, the IRS. We have our EIN numbers, we have our DUNS numbers. We also have Shelter Solano, which is a subsidiary of Shelter Inc., which also has its own legal numbers. State of California recognizing this, the State Tax Franchise Board. We also have letters from both the IRS and the Franchise Tax Board that we are recognized. The Shelter Solano is recognized as under the grouping of Shelter Inc. On the charity website that the state attorney has, Shelter Inc. has filed every 990 that is required. In those 990s, approximately page 12, 16, towards the end of the 990, it lists Shelter Solano as a subsidiary of Shelter Inc. It's unfortunate that nonprofit Shelter Inc. has to be present to defend itself now because statements that Ms. Moy is going to be making. It's very dirty. I don't understand it. And so my time's up. Thank you, council.
Mr. Worth, I just don't understand why. Now, first of all, you know that I don't control the grand jury, and the grand jury did its thing. I didn't have anything to do with it. I just saw the report. What I don't understand is your behavior and the CEO's behavior. I know that 4 years ago you tried to hurt me politically, but that's not going to happen, you understand. I want you to understand that no matter what, I live here, my family's buried here, and I'm not going anywhere. So no matter what happens on November 8th, sir, I'll be here and I will be out advocating for the homeless like I do twice a week at least. And I hope that we can work together and you can stop with your political mess. You have that letter, I know you do, because you just answered questions that was in it. It doesn't matter, it's a public record. I'm happy to send it to you. In fact, I will. But I want you to know the grand jury, I was not on the grand jury, not a grand jury foreman, none of the above. They found these things, and then somebody from Vacaville sent a letter. You should see it, and the grand jury should see it. So I'll send it to you. But you can stop grandstanding now. Thank you.
Next speaker, Madam Clerk. Oh, no. No, sorry.
Our next speaker, Nora Dizon, and then I have someone online.
Mayor Price, City Council members, thank you for allowing me to speak. I am here to bring up the issue that actually Councilmember Boy mentioned, which is the problems with parking at schools in our area. I've been receiving messages about it, and I want to give you a little bit of history about what's been happening with our police department and our community many, many years ago. There's a lot of disagreement, and many years ago, Chief Tibbet put together, I think it was 2 or 3 community meetings. And there's another meeting that's supposedly coming up. There was also a previous meeting with Chief Cantrell. My point is that there doesn't seem to be a solution. Some of these things are because of crime, but the issue today, or that's coming up, is about local enforcement. But I really see this as a problem due to poor planning. We have set up our school areas to be a problem of contention because we don't have it set up for parents to be able to properly and safely drop off their children to school. We're creating traffic problems, and we're asking our PD to solve it. I'm sorry. This is a problem caused by improper planning. And we seem to be pushing through other projects, again, ignoring proper planning principles. And we really need, for the coming meeting, not to be just another gripe session ending up with no solutions. So I hope you really do take a look at the situation and we stop ramming through these projects without really thinking about safety for the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Brian, do you have someone online that would like to speak?
We have Erica Dellenbach. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erica Dellenbach. I'm a longtime Fairfield resident and master's student in health policy and law at UCSF. And on behalf of Women Everywhere, I'm asking the City of Fairfield to serve as an example to policymakers at both the state and federal levels by providing its employees with paid menstrual leave. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
I didn't catch her last name. So now we're moving to consent.
Okay.
I don't have any more.
You have no request to speak cards on the consent item? Okay. Entertain a motion then to approve the consent calendar as submitted. It's moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilwoman Moy.
Sorry, I do have one request to speak on item 13.
I'm sorry.
I have a request for
you
someone
do?
to speak
Okay.
on item 13, which is the
Okay.
last item in consent.
Yeah, we'll
And
go ahead and
again,
take it,
that's
take it.
Nora.
So we should pull item 13 then. We can do the consent calendar and then call item 13 separately.
Okay.
Doing the consent calendar now, right? Okay. Okay.
Okay, we'll pull item
Yeah,
13.
going to pull item 13, okay? Entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar with the exception of item number 13. It's been moved by Councilwoman Moy. Is there a second, please? Seconded by the Vice Mayor. All in favor?
Okay, and I'll take roll.
I'm sorry, we need to do a roll call. Yeah,
Yes,
thank
and
you.
I'll take roll. Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And we'll go back to
Okay,
13, please.
and I'll read item 13. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2022-12 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield, amending Chapter 25, Article 11 of the Fairfield Municipal Code. And I guess, do we have Dave Feinstein come down then and speak? Our planning manager? Sorry, I read the wrong one, didn't I? I meant to read 13. I apologize. Okay. Second reading and adoption of ordinance 2022-13 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the First Amendment to the restated and amended development agreement by and between the City of Fairfield and Elbert D. Sino Construction Company, a California limited partnership, Seacon Financial and Construction Company, Inc., a California corporation, and West Coast Home Builders, Inc., a California corporation. And Dave Feinstein is our presenter.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This item was presented to you at your last meeting. It's a proposed series of amendments to a development agreement between the city and a collection of companies under the Sino family of companies regarding development out in the Cordelia area. We presented to you the list of changes at that time that were proposed. Council approved or conducted the first reading for the ordinance that goes along with the development agreement to approve it. Tonight, you're simply being asked to conduct the second reading and approve the ordinance. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any comments or questions for David?
Okay, we'll have Nora Gizon speak, please.
Mayor Price, City Council members, thank you again for allowing me to speak on this matter. I'm very concerned about the way the discussion and presentation for item 13, how it happened. Back in June, there was a discussion and there was an objection by Sino of the increased fees. And I remember hearing the conversation, especially between Councilmember Tim and Councilmember Moy, and we were talking about a change in fees of about $1,000. You mentioned that. Come the previous meeting, that number, which was the house permits in Cordelia, was $14,107. That was the presented number. But in October, that was suddenly decreased to $8,583, giving the false impression that there is some huge increase in fees that Sino's paying for this change, which is really misleading. And once again, why was Sino allowed to build all these other projects and our community had to put up with the horrible traffic situation that we have? It's been 21 years since Rodriguez was built. This is wrong. This is really wrong. What you're doing, and yeah, the reason that was given was, oh, we're giving them a date certain. Well, let's be honest here. If Sino needs an extension, you're going to give it to them. So that's just BS. This is not correct to put this on our community. You're giving them an extension, not just for the road, but for the entire development agreement. So they messed up on the timing. They just put it off. They built all the others. They've got Gold Hill 3 going up now before the widening of Red Top Road. And you're just saying, okay, developer, when do the residents count? It's wrong. You're giving them the chance to save Fieldcrest by allowing the development agreement to extend to 2030. That's what I get out of this. That's what the real deal is here. And you don't care about us. That's the message we're getting. Thank you.
Do we have any other requests to speak, cards, Madam Clerk?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Make a motion to approve 13.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertani,
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, we move to item 15. Resolution 2022-280 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield adopting a resolution to increase the hourly wage of dispatcher 1 and 2 and amend the memorandum of understanding between the city and Fairfield Employees Association. And our presenter is Farbode Peruzman, Director of Human Resources.
Good evening, members of the City Council, Mayor. I'm sorry. My apologies. I just had a moment of senility. Sorry. Vice Mayor. Couldn't remember Vice Mayor. So tonight I just have a short presentation for you on the dispatcher pay. As you know, being a dispatcher is extremely difficult. And it's a very stressful job, very hard job. It normally has a pretty high attrition rate in police departments across California, across the nation probably. And we have experienced something similar. We have a pretty high attrition rate in the last year of around 70%. I looked into it, and comparable jurisdictions have similar sort of around that same area, because many dispatchers, especially young dispatchers, I mean dispatchers who have just become into the profession, tend to do it for a year and realize it's not for them. So it's pretty high attrition rate. I've been working closely with our dispatch personnel here at the City of Fairfield, the police department, and we have done some analysis together, PD and HR, and we found that we definitely need to increase the hourly wage for our dispatchers to compete better with the local jurisdictions, especially when we're trying to hire laterals. So these are dispatchers with experience, because we really need folks that have that experience, that they can mentor people when they come into the profession. So based on our analysis, we are proposing to increase the hourly wage from $43, roughly $43 to $47 at the top step. We've met and conferred with FEA, the Fairfield Employees Association, and have come to an agreement, and that's what I'm presenting to you tonight. We've also agreed to increase the proficiency pay, dispatcher proficiency pay, from 5% to 7%. This pay is a one-time sort of payment at the fifth step. When someone gets to the fifth step, they get sort of a bonus for being here and staying in the profession, quite frankly. In our research, we found that some of the cities we were behind were Brentwood, Livermore, Hayward, Concord, and Napa. And as I said, we were losing dispatchers to those places, and it was difficult for us to find dispatchers that were from those places or similar jurisdictions. So if the council approves the resolution, we would be on average about 3.5% above the market, which I think would help us with recruitment and potentially retention at about 1.7. The median is about 1.7, so we're right in the middle of the market. And I can answer any questions you may have.
Any comments or questions, colleagues? Councilman Moy, please.
Thank you. It was just this year, I think, right, that dispatchers were reclassified as first responders, and I think it's really appropriate that they get paid more. We can't have. I want to bring this up because you guys have done a great job. Some cops and some elected officials from cities around us, I'm not saying who, Vacaville, but anyway, they were telling me that, we have a problem hiring because you guys pay too much. I said, we don't pay too much. That's how we get the best. But the bottom line is we need to do the same with the dispatchers. They are the first responders, and experience matters. So, yeah, thank you.
Any other comments or questions, colleagues?
I do have one public comment.
Okay, thank you.
Jenna Draper?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, and staff. I'm Gina Draper. I am fourth in seniority currently for dispatch. I'm here kind of to represent all of us, just to kind of give you an overview of what we are working on every day. Normally I'm behind the phone. This is very awkward. First of all, I want to say thank you for just considering this and letting you know why it's so important. I think Farbo did a good job saying that we need to get recruitment, and they've been working on the recruitment for a long time. They get them hired. If anyone here is not familiar with the process, it's a really long process. The background process itself is right up there with officers. A lot of people can't even pass it. Once they get hired, not very many of them are making it through. So getting qualified applicants is huge. For me, seeing people stay is even bigger at this point because, like you said, all the way around, the need for dispatchers is extreme. Our staffing levels are critical at this point. We don't have enough to get minimum staffing without mandatory overtime every single day. So that being said, the proficiency that he talked about, just to give you a little bit of info on that, it's not just once you've been there and got to top step. You have to pass a written test, you have to pass a hands-on test, and you have to go in front of an oral board. So there's a process, and it's something that you have to work towards, you have to study, and you have to be proficient in order to pass on your knowledge to new hires that can hopefully stay with the city of Fairfield. I love my job. I worked for a different agency before I got here. We have a great center, our people are great, our supervisors are great, but when you have no staffing, it wears on us. And so for you to consider this and to pass this would be huge for us and our livelihood and just our mental state all the way around. So, and I think we'd all be better assets to the city and to our citizens if we had more staffing so we weren't quite overwhelmed as we are. But thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other speakers, Madam Clerk?
No.
And nobody online? Okay, entertain a motion then to approve. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Tim. All in favor? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertani?
A resounding yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yeah, well-deserved, yes.
And Mayor Price?
Absolutely, yes. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 16, Resolution 2022-281 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving required findings relating to the adoption and amendment of the 2022 California Building Standards Code, also known as Chapter 5 Building and Housing Code of the City of Fairfield Municipal Code, and first reading and introduction of Ordinance 2022-14 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield, repealing and replacing Chapter 5 of the City of Fairfield Municipal Code, also known as the Building and Housing Code of the City of Fairfield, adopting by reference Title 24 of the 2022 California Code of Regulations, known collectively as the California Building Standards Code, respectively Part 2, California Building Code, Part 2.5, California Residential Building Code, Part 3, California Electrical Code, Part 4, California Mechanical Code, Part 5, California Plumbing Code, Part 6, California Energy Code, Part 8, California Historical Building Code, Part 9, California Fire Code, as amended in Chapter 8 of the City of Fairfield Municipal Code, Part 10, California Existing Building Code, Part 11, California Green Building Standards Code, Cal Green Code, Part 12, California Reference Standards Code, and also adopting the 2021 International Property Maintenance Code and supplementary secondary references. And our presenter is Jeff Thomas, our Chief Building Official.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. Whew, I'm out of breath after listening to the City Clerk read all that stuff.
I'm so glad I'm a great reader.
Yeah, so I'm here before you tonight to submit our first reading for our repeal and replace of our ordinance, Chapter 5, in adoption of the state's triennial building standards codes. Basically, the ordinance that is before you tonight is relatively the same as it was 3 years ago, with a few minor modifications, which are inclusion of two other amendments that I brought forth before you in 2020 and 2021, which were pool safety requirements and emergency housing, respectively, as well as a deletion of an old historical amendment that the city had requiring copper pipe for service, water service to housing. It was used for cathodic protection of the city's water lines. However, in communications with Public Works, they now have their own cathodic protection on their lines. So that amendment is no longer necessary, and developers and homeowners can simply comply with the current standards in the building code for pipe types. The only other amendment is a slight amendment to the adoption in Appendix J, which is grading, which clarifies when a grading permit is required, which is at 50 cubic yards, among other things for different levels of cut and fill. But the only amendment that we made was a clarification for 50 cubic yards of cut or fill. Beyond that, we're here to also request that you adopt the resolution for our findings to make the amendments set forth in our ordinance. A couple of points that I would like to make with the upcoming code adoption. The California Energy Code is making further strides this code cycle in pushing development towards electrical only. It has not at this point banned gas, but if any future development applies for a permit after January 1st, 2023, if any of that development wishes to install gas for any of their appliances, their stove, their heater, their water heater, their gas dryer, they also have to run electricity to those locations for future electrification. In addition to that, there is now, as in previous code cycles before, 2 cycles ago, there was a requirement to install infrastructure for future solar. The last code cycle was to install infrastructure for future electrical vehicle charging. This code cycle is now requiring to install future infrastructure for energy storage systems, so like batteries that are basically generally charged by your solar system. So with that, if you have any questions, I'm here to answer any questions. Otherwise,
Councilwoman White, please.
Yes.
I know these are the new laws. I'm just wondering, did they give you any information on how we're going to have the electricity for all of that? I mean, I'm serious. Because we have brownouts now. I'm really concerned.
Yeah, and frankly, I think that's a bit of an unknown, especially with challenges that jurisdictions across the state are already experiencing with PG&E. And, one other change, it used, currently until January, a resident's minimum panel size was 100 amps. Most houses can't get away with a 100 amp panel just because of the current electrical demands.
Right.
This code does now require a 200 amp panel, but again, further with these electrical demands, in just those 4 items that I mentioned with gas, if you install all of those, which were maybe historically gas and now electric, you're looking at about 120 amps between them. So the likelihood that a house is going to be able to have a 200 amp panel is unlikely. So most houses will likely be installing 400 amp panels for their house now. Estimated current cost of these increases anywhere between $10,000 and $20,000 per home.
Well, isn't that nice? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Any other comments or questions, colleagues? Entertain a motion then to approve?
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, public comment?
Oh, I'm sorry, public comment, yes.
I do not have any requests to speak.
Entertain a motion then to approve?
And I'm sorry, one more time, Mr. Mayor. This will be a motion to approve or to introduce and approve Resolution 2022-281 as read by the city clerk, and to waive full reading, read by title only, and introduce ordinance 2022-14 as read by the city clerk.
So moved, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Moved by Councilman Tim. Is there a second, please? And Vice Mayor,
Second.
thank you.
3 seconds.
I'm sorry.
And I'll take roll. Councilmember Bertani,
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yeah, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Item 17, Resolution 2022-282 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield repealing and replacing Chapter 8 Fire Prevention Code of the Fairfield City Code, adopting by reference California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, known as the 2022 California Fire Code, with amendments to reflect local conditions and adopting by reference certain provisions of the 2021 International Fire Code, and publish notice and set a public hearing on this matter for November 15th, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the Fairfield City Council Chamber, and first reading and introduction of ordinance 2022-15 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield repealing and replacing Chapter 8 Fire Prevention Code of the Fairfield City Code, adopting by reference California Code of Regulations, Title 24, Part 9, known as the 2022 California Fire Code, with amendments to reflect local conditions and adopting by reference certain provisions of the 2021 International Fire Code. And our presenter is Stephen Conti, our Fire Marshal.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. Thank you. It's easy tonight. I'm here to ask for your support in adopting our 2022 and 2021 California Fire Code and International Fire Code. Really, the only major change will be that we're going to change any commercial building greater than 3,600 square feet will require fire sprinklers. That'll enable us to continue and educate with quality fire protection and fire life safety for our community in the coming years. So I just ask for your support. And
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we have any public?
3,600 feet regardless of age?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments, colleagues? Any public comments, Madam
I
Clerk?
don't have any requests to speak.
Entertain a motion then to approve.
And Mr. Mayor, just to clarify, this will be a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-282 as read by the city clerk, and also to waive full reading and introduce for first reading and introduction of ordinance 2022-15 as read by the city clerk.
Entertain a motion. It's been moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councilman Moy. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yep. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We turn now to public hearings, Madam Clerk.
Public hearings, item 18, public hearing and resolution 2022-283 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield annexing territory, Fairfield Industrial Center, to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation and Park Maintenance, and as annexation number 59, authorizing the levy of a special tax within the annexed territory and submitting the levy of a special tax to the qualified electors thereof. And Resolution 2022-284 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield declaring the results of a special annexation election in territory annexed to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, determining the validity of prior proceedings and directing recording of amended notice of special tax lien for City of Fairfield Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, Annexation Number 59, Fairfield Industrial Center. And our presenter is Chris Lewis, Public Works Management Analyst.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Before you tonight is annexation number 59 for CFD 2012-2. This district provides funding for public safety services, open space maintenance, and park maintenance throughout the city. The territory proposed for annexation is located west of Chadbourne Road and north of Guittard Road, and once constructed, the development will be an industrial building. The City Council initiated the annexation process for this territory on September 6th with the adoption of Resolution 2022-238, and by conducting the public hearing tonight, carrying out the ballot procedure, and adopting the resolutions before you, Council will have completed the annexation process and the territory will be added to the district. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for staff?
I do not have any requests to speak.
I'll open the public hearing. Have no request to speak cards. Anyone choosing to speak on this item should do so now. Seeing none, we'll close it. Bring it back for council action, please. Entertain a motion to approve. It's been moved
So
by
this would be
Councilman
for
Moy.
Resolution 2022-283.
Yes.
And a second, Councilman Panduro. Okay. Roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yes.
And now I'll open the ballot. And there are 12 yes votes in favor of annexation.
Wonderful. That's pretty good. Do I have to take action on this? Yeah. Okay. Entertain a motion to approve. Moved by Councilwoman Panduro, seconded by Councilmember Tonneson. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yes. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 19, public hearing and resolution 2022-285 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield annexing territory, Valley Strong Credit Union, to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance as annexation number 60, authorizing the levy of a special tax within the annexed territory and submitting the levy of a special tax to the qualified electors thereof, and Resolution 2022-286 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield declaring the results of a special annexation election in territory annexed to Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, determining the validity of prior proceedings and directing recording of amended notice of special tax lien for City of Fairfield Community Facilities District Number 2012-2, Public Safety Services, Open Space Operation, and Park Maintenance, Annexation Number 60, Valley Strong Credit Union. And again, our presenter is Chris Lewis, Public Works Management Analyst.
Good evening again, Mayor and members of the City Council. There we go. Before you tonight is annexation number 60 for CFD 2012-2. This district, as mentioned, provides funding for public safety services, open space operations, and park maintenance throughout the city. The territory proposed for annexation is located north of Manuel Campos Parkway and east of I-80, and once constructed, it'll be a commercial building. Council initiated the annexation process for this territory on September 6, also with the adoption of resolution number 2022-239, and by conducting the public hearing tonight, carrying out the ballot procedure, and adopting the proposed resolutions before you, Council will complete the annexation process and the territory will be added to the district. Thanks.
Any comments or questions? Go ahead, Councilman Tim, please.
Yeah, just for full disclosure, I also serve as an advisor to the board for Valley Strong. So I just want to make that clear, but.
Any other comments? You'll be excused. Any other comments? I will open the public hearing then. Any requests to speak cards, Madam Clerk?
No, I do not have any requests to speak.
I will close the public hearing. Entertain a motion to approve the first reading of the ordinance. Been moved by Councilman Tim. Is there a second, please?
To approve Resolution 2022-285.
Have a second, please? Here we do. Okay, roll call vote, please, Madam Clerk.
Tonneson, second.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
And now I will open the ballot.
Slow down. That's right. Stay where you are.
And there are 2 no votes. That doesn't happen very often.
We will work with our consultant to get in touch with the property owner. It wasn't an expected outcome, but we will talk to the property owner about that. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to our last item, 20, public hearing and resolution 2022-287 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield approving the issuance of revenue bonds in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $70 million to finance Parkside Flats, an affordable rental housing project to be located at 1600 Woolner Avenue for the benefit of Affordable Housing Alliance 2, Inc., or an affiliate thereof, and certain other matters relating thereto. And our presenter is Latan. I can't remember your last name.
Latan Jones.
Jones, sorry, because I had Latanya Taronis as presenter, and he's our Director of Housing Services. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Latan Jones, Director of Housing Services. This evening, we are opening this hearing seeking approval of a bond issuance for an amount not to exceed $70 million for the Parkside Flats project that would be located at 1600 Woolner Boulevard. That development will be 168 units that will be targeted to 50 households that are 50 and 80% of the area median income. The property is owned by the Housing Authority and will be sold to Affordable Housing Alliance. That was approved through a DDA that was issued in February 2020. The project, once again, will be 168 units. 20% of the units will be targeted to households that are 50% of the area median income, and then 80% of the units will be targeted to households that are 80% of the median income. That project will feature a clubhouse with leasing space, community room, computer center, pool and open courtyards, barbecue picnic area, outside parking, and landscape and lighting. The project totals approximately $66.5 million. That project will partly be financed, part of the sales proceeds, about $400,000 of which for that property will be put back into the property by the City of Fairfield. And then we obtained an ARPA grant from the county for $600,000. Otherwise, the financing will primarily be financed by the bond issuance we're seeking today. The entitlements for that project was actually approved in April of 2022. We are planning to actually close on that project in January of 2023. Construction will begin in February 2023 for the actual completion of the project targeted for September 2024. The project will receive 501c3 bond financing to promote acquisition and development activities at the site. The bond issuance will be by a JPA, California Municipal Finance Authority. Hence, neither the FHA, the city, nor residents will be responsible or liable to repay the bonds. All the bonds will be repaid by the actual revenue generated from the project. The city will not be the issuer of the bonds. All affordability requirements will remain on the actual project for 30 years. And because this project will be located within the City of Fairfield, federal tax requires that the Fairfield hold a public hearing and receive any public comment on the actual bond issuance. After the comment, if there are any, elected officials will actually be able to vote on the bond issuance for the project. So tonight, we are seeking approval of the actual $70 million bond issuance for the project in order to be able to support 168 units of affordable housing. here in Fairfield. I'm available for questions if you have any.
Any comments or questions, colleagues? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing. Do we have any public speakers, Madam Clerk?
I do not have any public speakers.
Well, I will close the public hearing, bring it back for council action. Entertain a motion to approve. Then moved by Councilman Tim, seconded by the Vice Mayor Vaccaro. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Bertani?
Yes.
Councilmember Moy?
Yes.
Councilmember Panduro?
Yes.
Councilmember Tim?
Finally, yes.
Councilmember Tonneson?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Vaccaro?
Yes.
And Mayor Price.
Motion carries unanimously. And if we have no other business before this body, we are adjourned until our next meeting, November 1st. Thank you. Good night.